Hi, I'm Theodore Henry, and today, coming to you from the pages of Jamaica Magazine, Financial Matters and Entrepreneurial Development. It's all about practical and significant developments in our island's economy, and you don't want to miss out on any of it. It's coming up inside your favorite program, so do stay with us.
Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness wants to share plans with you on the development of Montego Bay at a town hall meeting on Thursday, November 22, 2018 at 6 p.m. at the Dump-Up Beach. Come hear the plans and share your views at a town hall meeting with the Prime Minister and other officials. That's a town hall meeting on Thursday, November 22 at 6 p.m. at the Dump-Up Beach in Montego Bay.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, November 21. Pension funds investment limits will be raised to allow for putting funds into venture capital. Venture capital is financing that investors provide to startup companies and small businesses that are believed to have long-term growth potential. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says allowing pension funds to be invested in venture capital will increase and unleash innovation and entrepreneurial activity in Jamaica.
When we move the limit from 0 to 5%, based on the $550 billion in pension funds, over $25 billion of capital will be available for investing in venture capital. That is a game changer, and it's a game changer for innovation, for opportunity, and for growth.
Dr. Clark made the announcement on Tuesday at the Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility (CCPF) Dialogue on Unleashing Innovation in Jamaica. CCPF is a partnership involving the Caribbean Development Bank, Canada, Inter-American Development Bank, and the UK Department for International Development. Meanwhile, the Finance Minister has also announced plans to launch a business dialogue series. The series is aimed at empowering entrepreneurs through the triumph and failure stories of other business persons. It will be executed with the support of the Inter-American Development Bank.
We're going to normalize failure in business and let people understand it's a natural part of the process, and we will not get anywhere with innovation unless we see failure as a part of success.
In other news, 19 farmers from the New Forest Duff House Agro Park are now certified to export various crops to international markets. The certification comes from the Good Agricultural Practices Program, Global GAP, an internationally recognized set of farm standards which certify that products have met safety and quality requirements. At Friday's training and certification ceremony, Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw lauded the farmers on their accomplishment. His speech was delivered by the ministry's Chief Technical Director, Courtney Cole.
You have done well. Your training will undoubtedly redound to increased earnings as you produce for the local market, our neighbors in CARICOM, and the wider international markets.
Over 700 ultrasound examinations have been conducted at the St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital since the August installation of an $8.2 million state-of-the-art ultrasound machine. The diagnostic equipment was donated as part of the Government of Japan's grant assistance for Grassroots Human Security Project. At the November 16 official handover ceremony, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said the machine would boost the hospital's diagnostic capabilities.
This is not an insignificant event from our perspective. This is not an insignificant or just a small incremental addition to our offering. This is substantial.
A 78% case clearance rate has been recorded in the Supreme Court across all divisions for the April to July Easter term this year. This is a 30% increase when compared to the same period in 2017. The High Court Civil and Matrimonial Divisions accounted for the largest number of new cases, with a total of 2,937. Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck made the disclosure in his address to the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
From this data, it is to be noted that the Home Circuit Court was the most improved division with an increase of roughly 57 percentage points when compared to the previous term. The overall statistics on the case clearance rate gives profound insights into potential case flow and backlog across the divisions of the Supreme Court.
Case clearance rate is the ratio of new cases filed in relation to those disposed of. And finally, a Positive Father project has been launched to give Jamaican men support to perform their role as fathers. The initiative is a partnership between the Gender Ministry and UNESCO.
Men must not only be seen as providers or disciplinarians in the family, they also have a critical role as nurturers. We want to boost the participation of fathers in the household. We don't have to just only think of housewives. We can think of house husbands. And that is why we are also championing the paternity leave policy through the Bureau of Gender Affairs.
The Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport was speaking during Tuesday's sitting of Parliament. She informed the lower house that several male-centered parenting seminars were being conducted through the men's desk at the Bureau of Gender Affairs. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Did you know that in a recent survey done by the OCA in schools across Jamaica, 43% of the students received inappropriate messages from strangers? The OCA wants you to be smart online. Never speak to persons you don't know. Parents, encourage your children to be social but be smart.
This message was brought to you by the Office of the Children's Advocate with support from UNICEF.
Students in secondary schools across the island are being exposed to entrepreneurial opportunities. Today we show you how the Junior Achievement Company of Entrepreneurs Secondary Entrepreneurial Development Program is implemented in those different schools and how the various businesses operate.
Our business, we are currently making special glasses that are directly aimed at visually impaired or blind people.
I am the treasurer of Humble Ground Planting Supplies, and these are my seeding trays.
This is our first bag, one we made for feedback at school, and the children loved it.
Well, I am the CEO for Senior Eagles Company. Here with me today is my manager, Rakina Genius, our finance manager, Simone Wright, our human and resource manager, Janelle Anderson, our manufacturing and logistics director, Selvin Nicholson.
These grade 9 students at Jamaica College and Nain High School mean business. They're learning entrepreneurship by running real companies with real problems, real products and real potential. They are part of the J-Seed program organized by Junior Achievement Jamaica and funded by USAID. At Nain High School in St. Elizabeth, students were using shoe boxes to protect their books and to give their school bags a more desirable shape. But there was a problem.
They are not long-lasting. As soon as you put them in your bag, by the end of the day, it's either crushed. If the rain falls, it wets.
The Senior Eagles Company spotted a business opportunity and developed the drop-it-in internal bag casing made from recycled 5-gallon plastic bottles. They do a better job at protecting valuables and shaping school bags than shoe boxes.
Here we have our manager dividing the jug into two halves when they're cutting the jug. This is our prototype, our work day while we were building the bag.
At Jamaica College, Vision is using modern technology to design glasses that warn the blind or visually impaired of obstacles in their path.
When infrared sensors, they're going to bounce off an object, and when the light bounces off an object, it will then come back to the process, which will process it, and go to the vibrating motor, which will then indicate to the wearer that there's an object in front of you.
Under J-Seed, 41 schools across Jamaica have added entrepreneurship to their grade 9 curriculum. Using the Junior Achievement Workbook as a guide, the students cover introduction to entrepreneurship, developing business ventures, conducting operations, and dissolving or expanding a business.
This really put me in the whole matter of the student-centered approach, wherein that it's not a chalk and talk. It's really getting into the brains of these students. The boys love it. They like to actually communicate with each other. They like to express themselves. And of course, it helps them to be more involved in the learning process.
At Nain High, the program is also student-centered and hands-on.
They sit and decide on what they want to do. They then go out and seek their own materials. They get back into their teams and they work on their product by themselves. I go around and I supervise and share ideas with them, ask questions and get feedback from them as well.
And based on the feedback, both the businesses and the students are growing.
Some of them have become more confident. They're certainly more creative, and they're now gelling more with each other because they've had to work together to create their products.
We noticed that students in our school, they were putting their uniforms in their bags when they changed for PE. So after PE, their uniforms would get crushed.
To solve the problem, our Crafters Group, an award-winning recycling company, decided to produce waterproof gym bags from recycled plastic bags.
After we found the plastic, we washed them. The plastic is then dried, placed over an ironing board. We put fabric over the plastic and we iron the plastic. We let it cool, and after it's dried, we cut it. Then we line the plastic that's on the inside. Then we wrap cardboard with some of the plastic and then we line it. Then we turn over the bag, and so it's made from inside.
The students are also learning the importance of corporate social responsibility. Businesses at Nain High School use Labor Day to give back to the community.
It's a wonderful program because it's helping children all over Jamaica to showcase what they're capable of in terms of creativity, innovation.
I feel like this program, it's very great because it also exposes us and teaches us that there's many different good ideas out there, and shows us that we should be confident in our idea and try to bring it out as best as possible.
And there's even more exposure for these young entrepreneurs through competitions. For example, students can create commercials for their businesses and enter them into the Marketing Maven competition. There's also the FedEx Access Award, which awards businesses for being environmentally friendly and globally focused. The J-Seed program, cultivating the spirit of entrepreneurship in grade 9 students and imparting profitable skills for work and life.
Mommy? Yes, sweetie? How can I change my world?
You can change your world by being polite.
Good morning.
Good morning. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Miss.
With just one action.
We
we can change the world with acts of random kindness.
Stay kind, act kind, be kind.
Finance matters. Well, at least it should. Today we bring you some of the achievements of the Financial Investment Division of the Ministry of Finance and Public Service.
Welcome to Finance Matters, a production of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. I'm Daniel Pasley, and today I want to share with you some of the achievements of the FID, that's the Financial Investigation Division. And who better to speak to us about this than Chief Technical Director of the FID, Mr. Robin Sykes. Thank you so much for coming on the program once again.
It's great to be here again.
Now, tell me some of the successes that the division has experienced over the years.
I think our success, we like to measure our success not by, arrests and things like that, but really at the end of the day, what is the courts, using the legislative tools to get the decisions of the court in our favor. And it has been a bumpy road because proceeds of crime is a very complex bit of legislation. But for example, we recently got pecuniary penalty orders against an individual, I think out in the West, for $17 million. So this is a case where we carried the process straight from the criminal conviction to the court looking at all of the elements of that person's lifestyle to determine, okay, well, this is the benefit you got out of your lifestyle as a drug dealer. Then the court said, okay, this is the money that you have to pay, representing your benefit back to the your benefit and paying that back to the state. So that we thought that is groundbreaking in that it was a post-conviction criminal lifestyle forfeiture order, and that individual now has to pay back money in addition to the sentence that he has served to the state.
Right.
I think that was approximately $18 million.
Wow.
Right. We also use the civil courts to proceed against assets where we believe them to be the proceeds of crime. That had some good successes in that area. For example, one well-known drug dealer who is currently imprisoned abroad, we use those powers to acquire his bank accounts here. We have also had cases being adjudicated in the Court of Appeal on civil recovery. In one case, we recovered about $1.5 million US, where the individual had that money in a freezer in her house, and it so happened that her relatives were convicted drug dealers. So it's a case where, you use the civil courts and the civil procedures to recover that money. So the Court of Appeal recently affirmed that decision. That money is in the hands of the state. So the real question for us is using these tools carefully and decisively to garner the successes that we all want. And we believe that as more of these recoveries are done, what we want to move to is getting these recoveries not only to the state, but actually back into law enforcement. So that's some of the plans that we have going forward, to use these confiscated funds for the benefit of law enforcement in particular. So that comes up under our asset recovery incentivization scheme that we're pushing for some regulations to allow, when we have assets, we want a portion to be dedicated back to law enforcement.
What are the future plans of the division?
Well, the division is in a very interesting phase now, because we have received a policy directive that we are now to convert from a division of the Ministry of Finance into a department of government. So it allows us a greater financial autonomy, although still within the overall government framework. So as you can appreciate, the nature of our work is not the same as a regular ministry. You'll know that you have an operation tomorrow, but you'll only hear about it tonight. So you have to be able to react faster, and you have to have more authority over your resources. So that's what moving to a department is going to do for us. We are hoping also in that restructuring to strengthen our both the skills as well as the number of officers, because what we're finding is the more successes that we have, the more it is that our partners are coming to us, and we don't want to not be able to service the needs of our partners, whether they're domestic law enforcement or overseas.
Well, we have run out of time, CTD Sykes. I thank you so much for coming over the last few weeks and explaining the role and the work of the Financial Investigations Division. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
With the 2018 International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women just 4 days away, we wanted to remind you just how important it is to stand in opposition to violence against all genders. Our government has collaborated with UN Women to develop a 10-year plan to eradicate gender-based violence. Take a look.
It is no secret. Jamaica experiences reports of domestic violence.
Sometimes him beat me in front of the picnic them.
There is no excuse for abuse, and the government has implemented a plan with the hope of beating domestic violence out of the country. The data on gender-based violence says much. In Jamaica, 1 in every 4 women is abused. Globally, 1 in every 3 women is a victim. Coupled with that, domestic violence has no regard for age or status. Men are also victims, so too girls as young as age 15, who are being physically, sexually, and emotionally abused in intimate partner relationships. With year-on occurrences of all forms of gender-based violence, the government has been courting several plans to eliminate the act. Finally, a perfect relationship has been formed and has given birth to a 10-year plan for ending this cowardly act. The National Strategic Action Plan to Eliminate Gender-Based Violence in Jamaica, NSAP-GBV for short.
The period is 2017 to 2027, 2017 to 2027. And that plan is predicated on the due diligence framework, which allows us to have 5 strategic priority areas. First one is prevention. How do we engage key stakeholders so that they become a part of the solution and not a part of the problem?
A major component of the prevention strategic area is the implementation of a No Excuse for Abuse social media-driven campaign.
We are very fortunate to have been blessed with a 3-year MOU through our partner, UN Women, that will allow us to do a 6-month campaign. We think that this campaign should make a huge difference, and we plan to have it rolled out in a very robust manner across communities and engaging different players at different times. The second strategic priority area is protection. That looks at how do we ensure that once the person becomes a victim, there is the adequate provision for shelter, there is provision for psychosocial support and rehabilitation. How do we look at the perpetrator as well?
The third priority strategic area covers the investigation, prosecution, and enforcement of court orders.
So once a person has been a victim, becomes a victim, what sort of mechanisms are in place to ensure that the victim gets redress and gets compensation if that is what is required? And if there is a protection order that is required, how do we ensure that the protection order is taken out and that it is enforced? And if there is an issue with compliance, which happens in some cases, where the perpetrator decides to violate the protection order, how do we ensure that it is enforced? And how do we ensure that the victim has protection? The fourth strategic priority area looks at compensation, reparation, and redress. How do we ensure that victims and survivors have adequate compensation for redress for wrongs that have been done? And how do we compensate? What forms of redress are appropriate? What is affordable given our limited fiscal space? The fifth and final strategic priority area is data collection and the systems by which we have a management of data. Gone are the days where persons talk from their heads about gender-based violence, because we now have a survey findings, a set of survey findings that's put together in a report. It's called the Women's Health Survey, and that survey for us is very important.
Released in 2017, the Women's Health Survey was conducted by the Inter-American Development Bank, UN Women, and the Statistical Institute of Jamaica. It provides facts, not anecdotal information about the violence some persons face. Eliminating gender-based violence will not be a band-aid fix. With the help of local and international partners, government has crafted a research-driven program to involve major stakeholders. The goal is simple yet revolutionary: to bring an end once and for all to this scourge that has crippled families and impacted our country psychologically and financially.
We've engaged with some secondary entrepreneurs and we've heard from a financial expert. So for today's Hear This, we're bringing you some financial tips for our high schoolers. It's never too early or too late to start learning about money management. The first thing, set up a budget. As a secondary student, making a budget becomes important in helping you to understand what you can spend and what you can save. The second thing, prioritize your spending. Not everything worth seeing is worth buying. You know there are some things that you really can do without. Figure out what those things are and cut back on the excess spending where possible. The third thing, understand the basics of opening a bank account and start saving now. Definitely, saving is important and we encourage you to start whenever and with whatever you can. The simple truth is every mickle make a muckle. So, do what you can to simply make Jamaica that place of choice for you to live, work, raise families, and do business while being financially smart.
Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness wants to share plans with you on the development of Montego Bay at a town hall meeting on Thursday, November 22, 2018 at 6 p.m. at the Dump Up Beach. Come hear the plans and share your views at a town hall meeting with the Prime Minister and other officials. That's a town hall meeting on Thursday, November 22 at 6 p.m. at the Dump Up Beach in Montego Bay.
We've come to the end of the program. Thank you for staying with us, and if you missed anything from today's show, you can watch it all again on our website or our YouTube page. And as always, keep up with us via our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.